going to go ahead and give the medical disclaimer. The information provided is for educational purposes and is not intended as medical advice or a substitute for medical advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare professional. You should not use this information for diagnosing a health or fitness problem or disease, and you should always consult with a doctor or other healthcare professional for medical advice or information about diagnosis and treatment. The information in this presentation has not been evaluated by the FDA or any other medical body. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Dr. Doreen Arbo, and I'm your host on today's call. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a clinical researcher and an author of several books. Welcome everyone to the call, and welcome Clayton.
Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
If there's anything we can go off of, it's a new year, but nothing's changed. So here we go. My favorite time of the week begins now. Okay,
well, Clayton is the chairman and co-founder of Root. He has over 25 years of experience in the health and wellness area. And, in the last 16 years, he's focused on detoxification and nutraceutical formulas, a simple philosophy, cure the cause. So again, welcome to our Tuesday call. This is the first Tuesday of the month, and you know what that means. That's the Testimonial Tuesday call. And let's move on. And of course, Happy New Year. Welcome to the new healthy you. So I hope everyone has had a wonderful holiday season considering the circumstances, but of course we can adapt to whatever life throws at us. Right, Clayton?
Yes, we can, better than most. And I think that hopefully that'll be one thing we get to hit on a little bit of what your New Year's resolutions actually look like.
Oh, that's a good one. So today is Testimonial Tuesday, and we have 3 testimonials today. We're going to hear from Rubina, who suffers from anxiety and depression. Brigitte, who suffers from Hashimoto's thyroiditis, fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, and many other issues. And of course, Andy, we're going to get an update from him on psoriasis and other things.
Know what those other things might be.
Okay, so first we're going to hear from Rubina, who suffers from anxiety and depression. And I thought this was really interesting here because, when we think about anxiety and depression, there's a whole system here. I mean, it's not just you have anxiety and then you become depressed. I mean, there's so many different things. If you look at this diagram here, and this is from a clinical study, and all these diagrams here from clinical studies, and I have the references down below for you to go and research. But you see, it's a very complex issue, right? So from this slide, you can see that, and on the next slide, you can see that the relationship between depression, your microbiome, stress, and immunity.
But what's interesting, can I jump in on that?
Sure, jump in.
Before we talk to Rubina, because I've not seen this before. This is quite cool. But when you look at the core of depression and everything around it with apoptosis and epigenetics and the neuroplasticity, the oxidative stress and inflammation, neurotransmission, the synaptogenesis and some of the other components on the bottom, not as much, but the rest of those are exactly the areas we hit on. And then when you look around the physical environment and how all of those affect the individual, it's funny that that's everything that we focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew?
Okay. So Rubina, I'd like to introduce y'all to Rubina, and she's going to tell us her story about her journey.
Hello.
Live on video.
Hello, Rubina. Welcome
Hi.
to the call. Go ahead and tell us your story and how the anxiety and depression started. I think you did mention it started 2 years ago, and what you've done in that time span, and what kind of improvements that you've had using the Clean Slate.
Okay, so well, originally the actual depression started about 11 years ago. I had to go through a course of IVF to try and have children.
Oh,
It didn't work, so obviously that left me devastated. So that's actually when the depression started about 11 years ago. And I kind of went through a whole spiritual journey, and really thought I'd kind of dealt with it. And so, do when we go on a spiritual journey. I mean, I did various things. There's not a lot that I didn't do, and I really thought I'd kind of dealt with my issues and dealt with the despair of not having children. And it was interesting that 2 years ago my life was actually in a really good place. I was in a job that I loved. Everything was going really well financially, and I started to feel a bit down. And literally within the space of 24 hours, I found myself standing on the edge of a platform at a train station wanting to jump. And I thought I had jumped. Just complete. It's a place of complete and utter despair. It was a huge shock. Obviously, I don't really know how I got home, but I somehow, I don't know. Me personally, I think it was some kind of divine intervention. I don't remember. The next thing I remember is being at home in my house, and it was a Friday, so that whole weekend was, quite traumatic. I wanted to kill myself, I wanted to kill my partner, I wanted to kill my fur babies. It was all very dark, and so on the Monday, I called the doctor, went to see the doctor on the Monday, and I was put on high priority, which basically means that I had to get care and attention straight away because I was on, the high priority list. So so I was quite lucky. I was really lucky. I got counselling straight away. My work was really understanding. I managed to kind of pull myself out of, that kind of dark, deep place of despair. But what transpired after that is that I started to get really bad anxiety and really bad panic, which is something that I had never, ever experienced before. We all get scared and we all get anxious, but, this feeling of pure panic and everything just closing in on you was so debilitating. So I had to leave my role at that time, which was as a manager in a major department store in London. I had to leave that role, and I went for a role as a sales, just a sales representative. I told the company that I was going to go and work for, of my mental health issues, and they were really good, really supportive. If I had anxiety, they would kind of give me the time off work. There was no kind of issues around how much time I took off sick and that kind of thing. And also 11 years ago, I actually got, because of the IVF and the medication I had to take, I also ended up getting really bad psoriasis and an asthma. So Sandy, who has been my soul brother for about 4 years, he introduced me to Clean Slate back in, I think it was June of this year. So previous to that, I'd had, and the anxiety could kick off such small reasons, but obviously really debilitating. I found myself not being able to do anything, and then that would lead to depression because you feel like a failure. And I'd always been a really, a very successful businesswoman before the IVF, so it was very, very difficult for me. So he originally recommended the Clean Slate for my psoriasis because I think it was somebody called Mark who was taking Clean Slate. He'd had these amazing results with with it. So that was really the original reason why I started taking it. And I started to notice around about sort of July, August time that something happened in the house, and that would have sent me into at first anxiety and then into a huge panic attack. And it didn't happen. And I was really surprised. And I know this sounds crazy, but I was actually looking for the panic and the anxiety because I didn't want to feel like I was suppressing it. Because if you suppress it and, if you don't deal with it, basically, it can lead to a worse panic attack. And I had a panic so bad one day that I ended up in hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. So the panic didn't happen. And I just thought, okay, maybe it's just because we're in lockdown and a bit chilled at the moment. And I think, hey, was when I was literally called a day before, because obviously we were in lockdown, I wasn't at work, and I was called into work and I was given basically 10 hours notice to go into work. And that would have definitely sent off a panic attack. So my area managers kept ringing me and saying, you know, are you okay to do this? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And I was fine. And I got up in the morning and got ready for work and got on the train and went to work. And I remember getting to work and coming out of the train station and just this complete feeling, just overwhelming joy, is that I didn't feel anxious at all. And I remember leaving Sandy a voice note because I didn't want to talk to him because I knew I'd just start crying. So I just left him this voice note and I just said, you know, dude, you know, this is incredible. I have no anxiety. I have no panic. I went to work, you know, beautiful day at work. And since then, I haven't had any anxiety or any panic. And the only thing that I changed in my life was taking clean slate. That was the only thing I changed.
Wow, Rubina, that's incredible. Were you taking the not just the clean slate, but were you taking the zero in as well?
No, I haven't started taking the zero in yet. On the clean slate at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Clayton.
I'm listening. I'm loving it.
It's I don't know. I'm you know, before my IVF, I never took any medication. I'm an aromatherapist. I've always been into nutrition, and I truly believe that, you know, medication is poisonous, and you know, and I do that the IVF medication poisoned my system, and somehow that led to, you know, obviously it affected me physically firstly and emotionally. But then, obviously, because I was dealing with it, my body was so toxic that obviously that then the mind just suddenly thinks, hang on a minute, you're not dealing with, you know, I'm still so toxic. This body is still toxic, and so, you know, chemically, it led to the anxiety and the panic attacks. And clean slate somehow has, you know, I for me personally, that's how I feel, is that somehow the clean slate has detoxed my body now to, I mean, the psoriasis is a lot better. It's still there. But for me, the effect on my mental health has changed my life. It's made me want to live. It's given me goals. It's given me a reason to be here. That's it.
Incredible. I mean, I'm just totally blown away.
So how long has it been? I know Dory's got 6 weeks up on here. Are you about 6 weeks in?
So I started taking it in at the end of June.
Okay.
And I started to notice a difference probably at the end of sort of July, beginning of August. That's when I started to notice the difference. But my anxiety were bad. I mean, I could have a panic attack 2 or 3 times a week.
And these weren't light. These are severe.
Oh, you literally feel like you're going to die. I mean, you literally, your heart, you know, the only way I can describe it is you feel like you're actually going to die of a heart attack, or you can't breathe, you can't, you know, it, and you can't. It's just, imagine the most frightened you've ever been. It's terror.
So in that time, so when you started to see results, and then we go from August until now, what have you seen? How do you compare? I don't think you can go on a scale of 1 to 10, because it sounds like you're going from 10 to 0.
That's yeah.
But how would you explain that? Because this, I mean, what you're hitting on is a subject, especially here in the United States, that probably 20% of the population deals with. I mean, when we talk about mental health and anxiety and you know, how people manage stress and depression, I mean, this is a big topic. And it affects loads of people. And the fact that you haven't tried Zero In yet just amazes me. But how, you know, to simplify the process, right? Or to simplify how you feel and what you've gone through, is this something that you would recommend someone that's been in the same journey that you were once in? And what did you experience in that process when you started to see changes? Were there any like detox symptoms initially that you felt a little bit worse, or did you just progressively kind of see the change? And also, I'm throwing like 12 questions at you, but what dosage did you start with and where are you now? So go.
So I started on 5 drops twice a day.
Okay.
Initially, I was concentrating on my skin. I didn't even think about my mental health. That wasn't even a consideration at that time, because you know, when you're mentally unwell, you don't think, oh my God, I'm going to start taking a supplement going to help my mental health. That it was purely about my skin. That's all. So I noticed with my skin that when I started taking it, you know, the redness started to go down quite quickly, but then it would flare. And then, you know, and then when it flared the first time, Sandy said, okay, you know, up your dosage to 7 drops. So that's exactly what I did. And then, you know, it would calm down. And so initially, Clayton, my concentration was really on the skin. I didn't really think about the effects of clean slate on my mental health at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, physically, you know, my skin would start to get better, and then it would flare. And then, you know, I'd kind of say Sandy was amazing, you know, regular contact, how are you getting on, Rubes, you know, and so I'd say to him, you know, I'm having a flare up at the moment. He'd say, okay, you know what, make sure you drink enough water, up it to 7. So now I'm on 10 drops twice a day. You know, making sure I'm drinking. I actually drink 3 liters of water a day. I'm you know, because I just think, I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know, the IVF really did severe so much toxicity in your body, so you need to, you know, make sure you drink loads of water. So I'm on 3 liters of water a day, you know, quite a good diet. I've always been sort of you know, with my diet, but like I said, the mental health side wasn't.
I lost you for a second, but I'm trying to throw back the question that I wanted to add. So with your, if this is it, because I want to hit on a key point of how the body dictates this process and not our intention. If you have the 2 options, you have your mental health, and then you had your skin, which we know is a liver issue. Which do you think for your overall well-being was more important to address first?
At the time of taking clean slate, I thought it was my physical health, but now I know that anything physical normally manifests from what's going on emotionally. So, you know, if I was anxious, if I'm panicked, if I'm stressed, if I'm depressed, that's going to affect me and my system physically. So for me, and also, you know, mental health, if you've got mental health issues, nothing gives you joy. I mean, nothing. You could literally win £1 million, and you'd go into a panic about, oh my God, I've won £1 million, and you'd find reasons to panic about that. So for me personally, for me, the fact that it's had such a huge effect on my mental health, yeah, fine, I've still got psoriasis, you know, it's weird. The psoriasis is almost invisible to me now.
Well, and I think that's awesome. That's part of the process, and it's what I really wanted to hit on. Of when you go through the process of just, you know, we can say cleaning up the mess, that it's your body that's going to dictate what it needs first. You know, so now that the mental aspects are improving, I'm going to bet you that over, we'll say, the next 30, 60, 90 days, that you'll start to see the skin stuff clear up as well, because there's an innate intelligence that the body, how the body energetically is working with the fragments in clean slate on how it applies them. So it's going to address areas of greatest importance that it knows need to be addressed, which might be different than what, like you're hitting on. You started taking it from a cosmetic purpose and got results that were a little bit different than expected to start with.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
That's the beautiful aspect. So thank you so much. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. We're going to have to check in with you again 6 months from now and get an update and see how you're doing.
Oh,
but
definitely.
Thank you so much. It was amazing testimonials.
That's it. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to obviously just let everybody know.
Oh, you're so welcome. So now we're going to hear from Brigitte, who suffers from Hashimoto's thyroiditis, fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, and many other issues that I'll let her tell her story. But I wanted to, I picked a couple studies here showing the correlation between certain environmental issues, heavy metals, so let's go to, let's see, Brigitte, let me ask you to unmute.
What do we need to get her?
Yeah, I got her.
Hello.
Are you there? Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
So Brigitte, go ahead and tell us about your story and how, what's going on, because I understand that you have a long history of things that actually go back from the time you were 18. I mean, were you diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis when you were 18 years old?
Well, actually, not immediately. It was only when I was around 18 years old that I started to have palpitations. I was being sick a lot. My hands were trembling. I overall felt really bad, and I was extremely tired. What I had, the first thing actually that happened to me was when I was 14 years old. I got a severe allergy, but they never found what it was for, not up to now. My nose was runny all the time. So in that time, they gave me, oh God, what was it called? Injections with one or another cortisone to stop that. So that was a bit serious. Then a while later, I got onto stuff that was less harmful for my whole body, that stopped the runny nose and the itchy eyes. Now, I think I was like 25 when they actually found that I had a serious problem with my thyroid. Luckily, there was a doctor that had done a thesis about thyroid, and at that time, that must have been around the 90s, they didn't know a lot about the thyroid yet, and he actually had done his thesis for university about the thyroid, and he was the first one to notice that that was the problem I had. So he got me on L-tyroxine. What I don't know what it is with you, but you probably know. Yeah, probably similar word. Now, where do I go on? Actually, I've been suffering with that thyroid for quite a while. Then I've been to see a homeopathic doctor. Yeah, and he said, "Oh, you have problems with your liver." Right, that has never been proven until later in life. I went to see holistic doctors, and then they saw that that was actually the case. I also had at that time, when I was like around 25, I had severe eczema. That has gotten a lot better. I've got asthma. Now, what else? Asthma. The reason actually I started to take a clean slate is because I read from a friend on Facebook that he was suffering a lot less from brain fog, and that was actually an enormous issue for me. I found it really hard to concentrate on anything, and that got worse over the years. I'm looking here what when I was 25, I also started on Prozac against depression. I actually stopped taking that last year, and I have come to the conclusion that I don't really need it at all. I'm not depressed. What else was the matter? I have indeed fibro, leaky gut, adrenal fatigue, autoimmune disease, in short, parasites. I have been taken a tablet, Biotics Para, it's called, against the parasites during 1.5 years. It got better, but the moment I stopped taking these tablets, my diarrhea came back. Now I have stopped taking the tablets, and I seem to be totally all right with a clean slate alone. So it's obviously working against these little buggers too. What also has gotten a lot better for me is restless legs. I used to take naltrexone for that. When I take my clean slate, I don't need to take anything else for that. And I sleep a lot better because I had really trouble sleeping because of my adrenal fatigue. So yeah, I'm extremely, extremely happy that I found these drops actually.
Tell us about your osteoarthritis.
Right, I had
with your knees.
Oh yeah, I have this. Yeah. Two things. My knees. I have like my kneecaps are too small. The surgeon said don't get a how do you call it in English? When they replace your kneecaps.
A knee replaced. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can do the caps too, but they said it's risky. It could be that you end up in a wheelchair. So what happened is that actually nothing happened with his knees, but I think from always being in the wrong position, I have developed arthritis, we call it in Flemish. So my knees always ache. Yeah. Also, the gel has gone. The stuff that acts as how do you call it?
The disc, the pad, isn't it?
Yeah,
the cartilage.
I have, yeah, the cartilage probably. That's probably yeah. They put in a gel. They put in a gel to sort of help that. But
like Synvisc or something like that.
Yeah.
Hyaluronic acid, Synvisc, they can use. How is the clean slate helped with that?
After a few weeks of using clean slate, I all of a sudden noticed that I didn't go ow, ow, ow when I got up from a chair. And that's something I had been doing for a few years already. Like when you sit for a while and then you get up, it hurts. And all of a sudden I noticed this doesn't hurt anymore. So I'm extremely happy with that. Also, my left hand, that aches, but that's only since a few months actually. And I couldn't pick up stuff with it anymore, like a plate full of food. I couldn't pick that up anymore. That's also better. I still feel that it aches a bit, but I can pick up stuff again. So I'm extremely, extremely happy.
When did you start the clean slate?
not long ago. I think a month and a half ago only. Actually,
Oh.
after, yeah, and after 3 days, I already started noticing that my brain fog had gotten a lot less. I could focus a lot better. There was something else I wanted to say about.
And then did you start taking Zero In also?
I started and I completely forgot about it because I take loads and loads of supplements, and I sort of forgot them. So I'm gonna start again, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, have to start that again. Oh, something else that I forgot to note is very important. In the winter, I always have to take tablets because I have inflamed sinuses, and that has gone too. That's over. All of a sudden, I noticed that I hadn't taken a tablet in a few weeks, so that also went really quickly.
Mhm. So what would you say, like so the first thing you mentioned that you started noticing was the brain fog.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
was a lot better. That was more improved. And then what was
Yeah.
what do you think is the next big thing that you started noticing?
Something I forgot to mention actually. Also, after like 3 days, I felt that I was much more awake. I could sleep through the night, and I describe it now to people as I am awake and during the day instead of trying to get through my day. So I'm actually awake. I can do stuff. That was a very important one for me. That was the second thing that I noticed. Then after that, actually, the pain that was a lot less.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great because, like, you're just starting out, so it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen from this time forward, say six months from now or 9 months from now, and see how you progress. Clayton, any comments?
I'm just enjoying the time so far. This is awesome. So proceed.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your testimonial with us. And I think we'll go on to Andy because we have 20 minutes left, and then so that you can be on time for your next call.
Here he is.
You see Andy?
Got him.
Okay. Andy, hey, welcome to the call. We're here to get an update from you because some you were on a call before and you gave your psoriasis testimonial and your other things. And so for those who haven't been on this call, they probably don't know what we're talking about, but go ahead and just start from the beginning and tell us your story.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on, by the way. Sorry, I'm just laughing at my photograph. I shouldn't laugh really, but you've nearly got a picture of me knobbly knees, haven't you? My story, I've been a bit of a supplement health maniac for about 15, 20 years now. Basically, you'll have to excuse my Yorkshire accent, by the way. But yeah, I've been trying to find something, to help me health-wise for a good 15, 20 years. I even bought a wand once. It was a metal wand with one particular company, and that's now in Poland, but that's a long story. I won't go into that. But yeah, that's been my. I've been, like I said, I must have been in 15, 20 different companies in that 15, 20 years time. But I think I got introduced to Root in August of last year. and I started on the clean slate for a week. I started on 2 or 3 drops, and then I increased it every 2 to 3 days by 1 drop, which this is what Sandy recommended to me to do. And then the second week I went on 0 in, and I took 1 tablet in the morning. I took everything in the morning on an empty stomach because, again, that was the recommendation. And then I'd say roughly 5 to 6 weeks, I noticed. By the way, I'd had my psoriasis about 15 years, on my elbows, on my arms, on my knees, and on my top half of my legs. And roughly 5 to 6 weeks in, I thought, well, what's going off here? I couldn't see a lot of my psoriasis. I didn't realise it had just about gone. My left side of my body, especially. I don't know if you've heard this scenario before, Clayton, but my left side of my body tended to be a lot clearer than my right side of my body, if that makes sense. My knee and my elbow on my left side, it had just about completely gone.
One side first, then we'll get the other one.
Yeah. And on the right-hand side, my knee and my elbow, it was maybe 60-65% gone. And to this day, on the left-hand side, I still am completely free. The psoriasis was gone. It was unsightly. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as I have seen some, unfortunate people how bad they have had it. But and then again on the right-hand side, it has slightly got better. But I remember Mark saying once that it can be very, very resilient. But I do recall you saying, Clayton, that we've got to give it time. If we allow a month usage for every year old we are, that'll mean I'll have to take it for 5 years or more. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be on it for as long as I possibly can. Anyway, it's just a part of my daily activities now. I take my clean slate, and someone just remarked about my shoes. Yeah, I had some better shoes than that. I should have put them on, but never mind. So yeah, that's me, where I am with my psoriasis. But I also had a bit of another issue. I mean, my eyesight, I said to Sandy a week or 2 ago, I think my eyesight, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's got a little bit better, because I keep getting signs with my glasses as though my glasses are not doing the job they should be doing, which there was, obviously. They were set up for my eyes.
I was just thinking, Andy, that next time you give a testimonial, we're going to see you without your glasses.
Yeah. But again, that's work in progress. Hopefully, and I can update on that. Another time. But another challenge I had, it is a bit embarrassing, but I mean, I can tell the story. I mean, I used to go to the toilet, and I used to stand there. I mean, and bearing in mind, I was busting to go, and I used to stand there, and I could be looking at a minute, more, maybe more sometimes, and then all of a sudden, drip. It were a bit of a. I thought, what's going off here? And bearing in mind, I'd had this situation for probably at least 18 months. And I know I should have maybe gone to doctors, but that's another story with me with doctors. I do recall Clayton some time ago mentioning dead doctors don't lie. And I'd forgot all about it. I forgot all about that series in my life, because it was maybe 15, 20 years ago that. And but I'm terrible with doctors. I won't. It's a little bit like, I heard a story about a dog who was laying on the porch with his master in his rocking chair, if you can imagine it, just picturing it. And this guy used to walk past daily, and this dog used to be whining. Anyway, one particular day, this guy was walking by, and he just happened to say to the dog owner, "What's up with your dog, mate?" He says, "Oh, he's laid on a nail." And the guy says, "Well, why don't you move?" And his owner says, "Well, it's just not quite hurting enough." And that was my scenario with the doctor. Because as I said to Sandy, it must be 20 years since I've been to see a doctor. So I do feel very fortunate that, I've not been in a position where I've basically had to go and see a doctor. I mean, I do keep myself very healthy. I mean, I've got a nickname. They call me Forest Andy. That's my nickname round here, Forest Andy. Because I do a lot of walking, not running like Forrest Gump, but anyway. So that was my situation with when I went to the toilet. Basically, I used to stand there and be waiting and waiting, and then, like I say, after maybe a good minute, it just used to drip, and then. What I found again, it was very similar to what the timing with the psoriasis disappearing. Again, 5 to 6 weeks. I just noticed when I went to the toilet, it started flushing out. Soon as I got to the toilet, it started it were they were going. It was, and it was a stream. If I don't want to, upset your tummy or anything like that, but it was just flowing. It was just flowing out. And again, this were around about 5, 6 weeks. And obviously, I was up to 10 clean slate in the morning and 10 at night by then. And I did have an accident once when I think I mentioned it, when I tipped the bottle up without knowing it, and it fell in my coffee. Whether that helped it as well, I don't know. But yeah, that's my story. I mean, I have got a little bit to add to the urinating situation. On one occasion, I got a little bit of pain when I started to wee, and I didn't take any notice of it. But from that period, 5 or 6 weeks, from August and now we're January, obviously, I've had 3 occasions where I've got a little, nothing bad, but a little pain when I start weeing. And each time it's gone. After a day, after maybe 2 or 3 days, it's gone. And I just wondered if you've ever come across anything like that, Clayton.
Well, you're hitting on subjects that most guys don't want to talk about, which I think is really, really crucial. How with one from a flow standpoint, but what we're looking at and what we're really talking about is prostate health. And do you find yourself sleeping through the night now? You don't have to get up at night to go to the bathroom?
I very rarely get up to go to the bathroom, Clayton. Maybe once in a blue moon, maybe. Yeah. No, I don't. And that was something that I did get up in the. I did get up in the night before this all changed.
So it's the fun part of figuring out how you know, just as we hit on, you know, how your body responds to the process and the areas that are of most importance. And no, it's awesome. Yeah, so I appreciate it. Though here's the question for you, and I don't know if you know this yet. With your, because it's been a couple months that you've been on clean slate, has it improved your handicap?
It probably would, Clayton, if Doris didn't keep putting these lockdowns on.
It's like it's the terrible part. I mean, if you were able to play some golf, I think there's more value in being able to take a couple strokes off than there is from everything else. No, no, I appreciate it. It's awesome. I think, you know, we'll be able to share this with guys, but you know, really, you know, when we look at, and you can take any aspect of, you can say erectile function, which that was actually one of the things that my dad told me when I first started in this path like 15 years ago. Was for him, he called me after a week. He's like, this stuff makes you hard as oak. It pops. These are things I don't know if I need to understand, because now I know why my mom needed 2 hip transplants. I'm like, this is not
So
good.
bad.
But no, it's true. But the no, the aspects of just male health are really predicated a lot around just what you're hitting on. So it's awesome, Andy. I appreciate it. And keep going. Happy New Year, brah. And keep the accent. I would pay extra if I had a Yorkshire accent. Too bad you don't have a club up there that's worth a damn, though.
I'm hoping to go to your neck of the woods later on this year, Wales, do some golfing.
You know what? Let me know. I need to go to Wales. I need to go to Ireland again. And
oh so, yeah, Ireland, definitely.
Family trip for everyone.
So Clayton, Hannah's asking about if the bladder issue here, if there's something similar that women can experience.
Oh, absolutely. You know, but it's just like Rubina was hitting on, that you might start doing this with the intention of focusing on one area, but how your body is going to manage the process and dictate the process, you might see other things change first. You know, so it goes to, well, our last, what are we on? Is this number 50 now? I mean, I don't know how many times we've done this, but it's the important part to understand that in every aspect of our health and our body and how it functions, environmental toxins, pollutants, chemicals, and the damage or the cascade that they cause is the cause. You know, so well, we might want to look at, oh, you know what, I have to get up a couple times a night to go to the bathroom, or, you know, my skin doesn't look the way I want it to, or you know, whatever you want, you know, autism to Alzheimer's, everything in between. It doesn't matter. It's 2021, right? So we get to rethink everything that the rest of the establishment is talking about, right? And this is the key, is going to be the fun thing I get to go over here in a couple minutes. Is it's New Year's, right? Everyone has a resolution. Rethink your resolution. And if you're talking to your friends right now, now's the time to reach out to people. How many people do you think have the same resolution in 2021 that they did in 2020? Same, I bet. People want to lose weight. They want to be happy. They want more money. They want more time with their family. They want to travel. Pretty much hits on all of it. And what are you going to do different? If you've been, you know, with your health, you're begging to feel different, or begging to get better, and praying that you can get better, what are you going to do different? How about we just change the entire approach? Let's not worry about symptoms anymore. Let's fix the cascade, address the cause, cure the cause, because the book's coming, and make that your focus. You know, one of the we have a new family member in Connecticut, and he actually he does some work on the local television show in Connecticut where he lives, I think on the morning show or something. And he's putting together some campaigns. He's like, I'm rooting for 2021. Like, I like that. But if someone gives you their goals, and the important part with making your goals is to express them, right? And to tell people what your goals are so you can start to manifest them. But what do we tell people when they typically tell us what their goals are? You typically say, I'm rooting for you, right? We want you to succeed. Well, rooting for someone has a completely different purpose and completely different connotation and denotation now. Because, you know, if you talk to somebody, it's like, my goal this year is I want to lose some weight, or I want to lose 15 pounds, or I want to get healthier. I want to be more outgoing, and I want to feel better, or I want a little more money. Well, I'm rooting for you. Here you go. Let me send you a link, and let me have you look at some stuff, because maybe we can help with that. You know, that's it. I mean, you look at the responses. You know, this is number 3 for our Testimonial Tuesday. So we got like 9 different ones, and these aren't little issues, right? We're not just talking about, oh, I was a little bit stressed and I feel better. I mean, we're talking about severe anxiety, you know, Parkinson's. And here's the beautiful part. Like Dory has done such a good job of putting together on all of this. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. We're all just toxic. All right. We're all that beautiful cesspool. And we'll just clean it up and watch how it helps you. So Verina's asking if some of those bladder problems are related to vaccines and metals, and yeah, I'm not going to get into it too deep, but it's just exposure, right? And you know, I think the key thing to this anxiety aspect, actually, and the thyroid perspective that Brigitte was hitting on, is for women. Right? The difference between women and men, and I'll leave on this point. When we look at Mercury affects men and women differently, right? It affects men more neurologically and CNS. It affects women in their thyroid and their reproductive system, so their endocrine system. So that's why women are hormonal, and that's why, you know, they end up with thyroid problems sometimes earlier now. But you see different issues. You see girls becoming women much earlier than we would traditionally expect. I mean, watching 10, 11, 12-year-old girls go through puberty is not something that we ever imagined, because that doesn't make sense. But it's the hormone mimetics. It's all these chemicals that are in our systems now, or that are in our kids, that are screwing up the endocrine system and creating chaos. Yeah. So happy New Year. I'll see you guys next week. I'll probably see you a bunch here in a couple minutes. Thank you, Dory.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.